Welcome everyone, back with the 13th installment of the engine build series, Lucky 13. And this one's going to be going over installation of the Harmonic Ballancer, potentially the flex plate. If I can get it moved up behind the engine stand and get bolts started on that, I'm going to get the flex plate installed. And also we're going to go over, make sure my oil pump's still good. I did that non-conventional installation method for the oil pump pickup. I want to verify that the oil pump is still working before I go any further with the motor. So I'm going to do a quick test here today. Is this part of the video with just a screwdriver twisting the oil pump intermediate shaft to make sure it raises oil up somewhere into the block. But I do have a oil pump priming tool on the way and a pressure gauge that I'm going to go ahead and we'll do the full-on drill test of the pressure here as part of the video here in the next set, or the second set I should say of it. That's due in a couple of days. So let's go over the parts that I have for the front and back of the motor, and we'll get on with the installation. Okay, for the part selection for the Harmonic Balancer, I got the house branded Summit Racing Street Performance Bonded OE style crankshaft damper, also known as a balancer. You can see there it is an 8-inch small block Chevy V8 internally balanced. You know that the internals I put in this were balanced from the factory, so we don't need any help on the front and back to keep the crankshaft from flying apart. This is a silver one, got a nice little lip to it. It is a, I shouldn't say is a, but it has a full suite of timing marks on it from 0 to 60 degrees. I don't know if that's coming through on the camera. And so that's nice, get a full, it should make it easier to set timing on it. Hopefully those are nice and visible. They got a kind of a laser etching on them and they're not really highlighted. I may have to go through and put some marks on to make the common spots, like the 12 for idle timing and like 2023, whatever for the timing at break-in at about 2000 RPM, and then the full up to 34 degrees I'll probably run on timing on it. I may make those marks a little highlighted so they're easier to see under the timing light. But anyway, it's a neat little device and it was fairly cheap. Again, we're sticking with kind of value parts on this build. Then I did get the Harmonic Balancer installation tool. Now I could have used my puller in reverse and worked up a kind of MacGyvered way to use that, but I went ahead and got the proper installation tool for it. And then for the back of the motor, I have a Summit Racing 168 tooth. This is a flex plate because I'm probably going to be running an automatic. And I just wanted something cheaper right now to get on the motor for when I do the break-in. And I'm not going to buy an expensive flywheel until I know for sure that I'm going to have a manual in whatever car this goes in. So for now we got a flex plate. It is SFI approved for racing, although I don't think the Ballancer is, but whatever. Just a common little device. This is also for internal balancing. It doesn't have any weights added to it on the perimeter, so this is a neutral balanced flex plate. I did get the good ARP bolts to install it. Comes with more lube. I'm getting quite a collection of that, and we'll Loctite those. And I don't know if I'll be able to get it installed on the engine stand. I hope I can. Work my hand up there, hold it in place while I get some of these bolts started. But we'll see about that as this video progresses. So we'll go ahead and move on to the installation of this part now. Okay, I got things set up to install it. I've got the tool inserted into the crank nose. I've got the race and washer set up and the Harmonic Balancer put on. I did lube the snout and the internal inside of the Harmonic Balancer, giving a little assistance going on. And I've also discovered I don't have the right wrenches for either end of this thing. It's crazy. So I'm just going to use the pipe wrench to put it on and hold against the resistance with my ratchet here so I don't tighten the tool into the crank nose as I do this. So just slowly roll this around. It's going on pretty good. So you're just going to go on with this until you feel it bottom out. Still moving nice and smoothly. Now I do have the piston at TDC. I found TDC again with my bore gauge before I put this on, so we're going to see, make sure these timing marks line up. And I do have the adjustable timing pointer, so I'll reference the actual adjustment to 0 on the Balancer not really worry about what I've got on the actual meat of the timing pointer because it may be off by a few degrees. Starting to get a little tight. All right, there it is. It's bottomed out, so that is installed. Get this tool loosened up here and out. Yeah, I better get that bolt loose off first. There we go. So that went on real easy, as intended. A few things in this build have gone as planned without any drama. This is one of them. So that went on real good. I'm going to go ahead and check the timing marks on it. And I didn't think about this part. Now I got to put my crank bolt in to get this turned. Now I can't use my crank tool anymore. Up. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and roll it around until I get to 0. Make this a little easier on myself and get my breaker bar on it. And I'm watching my gauge as now I'm on the downstroke coming back up. I'm just watching for the deflection of my gauge to stop at top. Find it again. As slow as I can here. Right there, that is the end of the travel on my gauge. And 0 is lined up with 0. It's like 1, maybe 2 degrees off. That's really close. So that means the timing chain installation is done properly, which I'm pretty sure it was, but it's always nice to verify things as you go. Let's see here. I thought I had a Phillips screwdriver pulled out. I'm going to set that timing pointer while I'm here. There it is. All right, so let's take a look at the timing pointer. This red part is the adjustment. It's just so close. I mean, wow. It's on 0, I'm sure. It's just the pointer itself is a little deflected. But right there is 0. So I verified TDC with the gauge, with the marks on the balancer, and with my pointer. So that is timed. Well, that went on real easy, as I expected, but you never know, especially with me. So that's that part, and I'm going to work around and see if I can get the flex plate installed. Okay, so never mind on the flex plate install. There simply is not enough clearance with the engine stand I have to slide it up behind and get the bolts started. So I'm going to move on to this oil situation here. Now I did put my break-in oil in, and that was 10W40 ND with a bottle of the Lucas Zinc Plus NDDP or NNDP additive. I got the bottle here, ZDDP. That's the break-in additive that I've used. And I mixed that up in the jug before I poured it in to make sure it was all distributed through the break-in oil. I've also got all my lifters installed, and they're all turning nice and free. They slid in just fine. You know, I had that issue with a few of them not going in, but that's been resolved. Every lifter went in straight with no resistance, and they turned freely. I verified every one of them as I put in. I can't build pressure really with this right now, but I think what I can do is just use a screwdriver and attack the intermediate shaft here and give it some turns to see if it is picking up oil. I can't get any real RPM, but I think I can get especially with the thick oil I have. Oh, look at that. Right here at the top of the oil pressure port, it's picking up oil. So good. The pump is working, at least at low RPM. It's moving the oil like it should. Spilling a little bit there, but that's fine. All right, well, that's kind of a relief. I know that it is picking up oil. We'll still have to see at RPM if it is moving the oil good enough. So in a couple days when I get that oil pump priming tool and the gauge, I'll hook it all up and see what I get out of it. But hey, at least the pump initially is not screwed. So that's good to know. And I mentioned I put the lifters in. There they all right there. After I put them in, I kind of went in with my little magnet. Just picked them up out of the bore. Maybe picked them up out of the bore. Oh my goodness. Iron. There we go. There's one. And I said I just verified that they're turning nice and free. They're rotating well. So that issue is out of my mind now. Moving on to other issues. So I poured some oil over the top of the valley there. And down in there is the cam gear and the intermediate shaft that I was turning to get the oil to come up. So, all right, I'll pick this video up in a couple of days when I get the rest of the material to do these tests. And after that, it really is onto the heads. I'm just picking apart all these little things to try to keep myself occupied. And I've started shopping heads again, and I found some better deals, so I think I'll be able to pick them up a little sooner than I thought. So, well, we'll see how that goes here in the next part of the video. So I'm testing the oil pressure now. I've got the oil pump priming tool in there, and I've got my drill attached, and I've got the gauge set up for it. I've already spun it a few times, and it is definitely bringing oil up to the top, but this tool doesn't seal the distributor hole very well, so a lot of the oil is flowing past the block, that part right there, and coming out the top, which it shouldn't do. It won't do when the distributor is in. The pressure I'm getting on it, go ahead and run it here a little, make sure I'm on. So I'm getting right about 40 PSI with that blow by right there. So that's actually, I think, going to be just fine. The pump's working. It's definitely drawing oil up. It's also frying my drill. There's a lot of resistance on that, and my drill's smoking. So yay, brand new Harbor Freight material. Oh well, you get what you pay for, right? Now, I have also rotated the crank through 90 degrees of travel. I'm sorry, 90 degrees of time through 360 degrees. I'm going to do it one more time, make 2 full rotations of the crank while I'm going to go ahead and get my son out and have him run the drill while I spin the crank to make sure all of the bearings on the lower end get oil all the way through them. And that'll be about it. So the question has been answered. The oil pump appears to be working just fine. And that seals up the bottom end. The whole thing is done. So off to the heads. We'll get the video up when we get the heads in, and rockers and push rods, and we'll get those installed. Go through all the fun part about setting valve lash and all that. And that'll get us 80% there and on track to get this motor running. Till next time.